What's going on, everyone? Welcome to this lesson. So in this one, we're going to go ahead and create our BMI calculator, and we're going to use everything we learned so far, such as the operators and stuff like that, to essentially put everything we've learned so far to use to make something pretty cool. So let's talk about the BMI a little bit. So the BMI, the way it's calculated is that it is pretty much designed to tell if someone is overweight or underweight based on their height, essentially. So it's a body mass index. If you think about body mass, meaning that what is your body mass, not necessarily how big or small someone is, but like compared to their height, essentially. So the way it is calculated is that, I got a nice chart here as well, and it's both in inches and meters and like height and kilograms and pounds and stuff like that. But the way it's calculated is very simple. So BMI is essentially and in this case we're going to use the kilogram and meters because that's just the best way to go about it, honestly. So the way it is calculated is that you get the weight and you divide it by the square meters of the height, essentially. All right, so we need two inputs from the user. We need the height, we need the weight, and we just gotta operate that, essentially. Very simple stuff, really, nothing complicated about this formula, but I thought it would be very nice to actually just like put this into practice and turn it into a Python code, so you can like kind of visualize exactly how you can turn these things into a formula in Python. So how you can turn these formulas into a program. So with that being said, let's go ahead and build this. Very simple stuff. We need to get the data and just divide, make sure we take to this, use exponent to use the power, essentially, height to the power of 2, right? And then we, divide the weight by the height. So very simple stuff. So with that being said, I have the file for you guys. You can download it, you can access it. If you click the resources section, you're going to be able to click that file, and it's going to take you to Replit, and you can fork this for yourself. And it comes with the basic inputs, so you don't have to write this down, but the rest you get to code it by yourself. Now, again, I recommend trying to code this. So you need to use integer, like the converters, essentially, like data type conversion. That's very, very important. And I want you to try to figure it by yourself. So pause the video, try to code this by yourself, and then we're going to continue. All right, so now that, hopefully you've tried to at least code it. If you have, congratulations, you successfully did it. But if you haven't and, you had a hard time, it's completely fine. We're just going to go ahead and code this for you right here. So the way this works is that we got the height and weight here. So very simple stuff. That's the first components of this formula, right? So what we need to do is essentially create the BMI. And this is a very simple one. So I'm just going to go create a BMI variable. And we're going to put weight, right? So we got the weight here. Where is it? There you go, weight. That's going to be divided by height, right? So again, a / that's dividing, right? And then we're going to say height. And then we're going to use the exponential operator, like there you go. And power of 2 exponents, right? So with that being said, that should be pretty much the formula. All right, so let's go ahead and print BMI and run it. Now, if I run this, we're going to have a problem here. There you go. Let me just run this real quick. Let's get the height. For example, my height is 172 and my weight is, anyways, that's fine, 67. So this is going to give us an error, right? The reason I actually said I made a mistake here is that this is the height in meters. So like whenever you run this, just keep in mind that it's going to be 1.72. So it's something like this. Okay, so that's going to be that. So that's your height and that's your weight, right? So yeah, anyways, but we're going to get an error here anyways. The reason for this is that the numbers that we have here from the user are actually strings, right? Remember, the inputs that we're receiving here are both strings. They're not numbers. So what we're going to do is we actually got to turn them into numbers. So weight is usually a number that is whole, like 67, for example, right? So we're going to turn this into an integer. So integer right here, just going to do it right here. I'm not going to make a new variable for it. And then the height, since it's a float, as I said, if you remember, I mentioned it's 1.72, 1 meter and 72 centimeters, right? So I'm going to turn it into a float. Here we go. And that should fix the error. So let's take a look at it. We'll run it one more time. Here we go, 1.72 and 67. Here we go, we got a number. Now, another problem that we have here is that our number is really, really big. So I want to just get this 22 and I don't want to deal with the rest of it, right? So how do we actually clean this up? It's very simple. Again, same thing. You just got to convert it to an integer, because right now the number that is coming up, because again we're dividing, right? So it's going to be a float, always going to be a float. So I'm going to say BMI float, and it's going to be an variable, and we're going to say integer. So we're going to convert BMI to an integer. So there you go, and then we're going to say BMI, print the BMI float or integer. Technically, I just named it wrong. That's completely fine. 1.72, 67, and that should give us a clean number. Anyways, I just gotta fix that. Integer. Yeah. Anyways, I named it wrong. There you go. So there we go, guys. We just got this very simple stuff, right? So we just got the user information, and then we turned the weight into an integer and turn the height into a float, because that's 1.72, for example. And then we use the power to just calculate the power, right, to the power of 2, right? And then we just turned the BMI into an integer because it was a float when it came out of this, right? And we just displayed it. And that is pretty much how you build this calculator. Very simple stuff. But again, it's a good practice of your skills. Guys, let me know if you have any questions. Again, you can always access the code, the base code here. I put it for you in the resource section. You can just fork it in Replit and start using it. But try to calculate it. And also, if you haven't done this still, or like you got it wrong the first time you did, try to record it one more time to just understand it, because we're going to get into some other stuff such as F strings. So it's really important to understand this. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you're confused about this. If not, I'll see you in the next lesson.